Hello, and welcome to another Fast Tracks webinar. This is a weekly event that we host every Friday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, and you can find those on our website at goftx.com. You can go to FTx Lifeline, jump to support options, and here's our webinars. You can view previous recordings from here, and you can also sign up to get notifications on any new webinars that we may have. You can subscribe by clicking this button here. As you can see, we've done many webinars in the past, and all of them are available for your viewing pleasure. So today, we're going to be going over setting up POS buttons and panels in the Cloud POS. So to start off with, how do we get there? So you need to first be on the Control Center website. So that's controlcenter.fasttrackspos.com. And when you're on your account, you'll see your dashboard, and we're going to go to Maintenance, Settings, and Panels. From here, we're going to click on this tab at the top, POS Panels. And as you can see, I already have two different sets of panels to choose from. We have the default panels that everyone gets to begin with, and then I also have a second set called Lottery Stores. I'm going to go ahead and make another set of panels now so you can see how that's done. So we're going to do the Add New. And we go ahead and auto-fill in our default panels here to help you so that you don't immediately have to set up every single button. And so I'm going to start with the settings over here on the left. So first thing is you'll notice the big plus sign. So this is how you add a button. So you would first name the button. So we're going to call this one Sell Item. You can choose the color, and we're going to save it. Then you can choose the button type. And we have a lot of different button types to choose from. So what I'm going to do is I'll go over all of the buttons and I'll explain the ones that are not very self-explanatory. And of course, if you have any other questions, you can call into support and we can help you. So this first button that you can set up is All Kits. And basically what this is it's a search button. So you could, if you have a lot of item kits, so like sandwiches, for example, you could have all of those in one button to click on for the POS instead of the cashier having to go and search for all the items individually. Automatic tip will take it'll take a percentage of the subtotal of the sale, and it will add in whatever percent that you put here as a tip onto the receipt, and then you would just choose which department you want that tip to be reported into for your reporting purposes. Breakdown is for between a parent and child relationship. So for example, a carton of cigarettes versus a pack of cigarettes. So the breakdown button you could use that to, if you're going to go ahead and pack out your packs and break down some cartons, you could tell the system that you're breaking down those cartons now, or you can wait for the system to do it. On the other side of that, though, you can do a break up button, and a break up button does just the opposite. You're going to take 10 packs and make them back into one carton. Cancel sale is exactly what that says. It cancels the sale, and then you can have manager override on this button as well. That's what we usually recommend doing on some of these extra functions for like cancel sales, no sales, item voids, is have your managers be doing those functions, but it's entirely up to you. So to turn on the manager, you would need to just turn the switch on, and then for some of the other buttons that we have, you can do require loyalty customer if for whatever reason you wanted to do that. Choose salesman is just changing the person that is ringing up the sale. So you can have a button on the screen to do that if that you want them to log in for the sale. Specifically, this would be helpful if you're doing commission campaigns. You want to make sure that the person that is ringing up the sale is the one that should be getting credit for the sale. Clear digit and clear tenders are self-explanatory. They clear out the information that you have on the screen. It doesn't cancel the sale. It just clears out what you just typed in. All right, so dollar discount. This one can be set up for basically you're taking a dollar amount off of the sale. So you can put the dollar amount as far as like a stagnant amount, so a dollar or $2 or whatever it is that you want to say, and you can put a custom text in here that will show up on the receipt so the customer knows what discount they got. So you could be like a military discount or something like that. Gift card balance and gift card sale are for our internal gift card system. So that would be like if you have uh, gift cards that you've either purchased to use and load in the system, or if you're using like physical gift certificates. This is how you would say ring these up or check the balances of them in the POS system. House account lookup and house account payment. Those are for your charge accounts, or most of the time people will use these for tax exempt sales. So, like if a school is purchasing from you, or something like that, you could track their tax identification code, so you can do the no sales tax on it. But you can also do charges for them. So the house account lookup would be how you look up that account and get their information, and then the house account payment is so you can pay on that house account. Item search is just that. It's so if you don't know the UPC number, you can click on the button to search for the item. And when you search for the item, you can either do description, UPC, vendor part number, any of that. Kit category goes back up here, like with the all kits that I discussed. So, putting your kits together, like your sandwiches and things like that. This is just an easier way for your employees to find them in the POS system. Okay, so launch module will let you launch one of these three. So it's the new item report, which again, it's for your employees to see what new items that you have added into your system. The price change report will show them any price changes that you've made over the last, I think it's 1, 7, or 30 days. And then the commission report is the leaderboard so that they can see how well they're doing on any commission campaigns that you may have active at this time. Multiply quantity, that is the X button that you'll see on the other screen. And it's basically so that you can ring up multiples of the same item. So if you're going to ring up 2 packs of Marlboro cigarettes, you don't have to scan that pack of cigarettes twice. You can do two and then the times and then scan the UPC number. No sale is one of the ones that I'd mentioned earlier with the cancel sale. You might want to do a manager override on this one. No sale does open up the cash drawer. So open department would be if you have items that you want to sell that don't necessarily have a UPC number and that you're not going to track inventory on. It could be like incense, for example. If you don't want to track that, you could just have a department for incense. And what you would do whenever you ring up the sale is you would put in the dollar amount that you wanted to sell toward that department, and then you would click on the button. So if you were going to sell $10 worth, you would put $10 in and then choose the incense department. Open local program. This can be used so that you can have something launch on the POS that's not necessarily a fast tracks program. So you could put, if you have, for example, a standalone time clock program, if you don't use the fast tracks one, you could put in a link to that file path in here, and then your employees could click on that button inside POS instead of having to get all the way back out to the desktop to get to the program that they need. Open website or URL is the same thing. It will open up whatever web browser you have set to the default, and it will have that web page open up whenever you click on it. I would recommend having this as a button for employees for our website because we have an employee version of the Control Center website that they can access for inventory purposes. PLU entry. This is another way to look up an item. It's basically so you can, if you know what the UPC number is, rather than doing the item lookup that we had discussed before, you can just type in the UPC number and then click the PLU button, and it will automatically search for that item. So Pour My Beer, we've got two of them here, Pour My Beer Balance and Pour My Beer Card Sale. This is a standalone integration that we have for a program called Pour My Beer. We've done a previous webinar on this in the past. You have to have the equipment to go with this. If you're interested at all in this program and what all it entails, you can reach out to our sales department and they can discuss it with you further. Okay, panel navigation. So panel navigation is so you can make multiple panels of buttons so that you can maybe have lots of lists of items or all of your lottery tickets, for example, and you need a button on one of your other screens to get you to those other buttons. So that's what this is. This navigates to the other panels. Typically, by default, you're going to see that we have a panel navigation for the main panel, for the subtotal, and for the cashier functions. Those are typically the three that we see. So pay in and pay out, these are ones that I again would say you probably want to make sure that you might have a manager override or a manager permission set on this one. But a pay in button is exactly that. You're going to tell it that you're going to be paying in and this is the account information that you want it paid into. And then the same thing for the pay out. If you're going to be doing payouts, you would want to know where those are recorded to. Percent discount is similar to the dollar discount that we had talked about earlier, but rather than it being a dollar amount that you're putting in here, you're putting in a percent. Again, you would just put in the department that you want those discounts to report to. The price check is very useful. So if you have the price check button, your cashier can click on that and then scan an item rather than ringing it up so that they can give the customer more information about it. The price check screen will show them buy downs. It will show them any discounts that the item may be eligible for, and it will also show them the quantity on hand. Print labels, it will do just that. It will launch the program that will allow them to print labels for the items that maybe they got a new UPC number or the label was faded on the shelf. This is just an easy way for you to get your labels printed from the POS. And you would need to have either a Dymo receipt printer or a Zebra, or sorry, not receipt printer. You'd either need to have a Dymo label printer or a Zebra printer to be able to print the labels within our system. Print receipt is it will just open up the receipts from from today. I believe by default it will show the last 10 receipts, and you can just choose one of the ones that you need to reprint for a customer or for yourself. The Heartland reboot is that is for if you have the Heartland direct integration device. So that would be HeartSip. This sometimes with their system, you need to restart the unit so that it will stop. Maybe it'll freeze if it's been on for a long time. So this is just a quick and easy way to tell the machine to reboot rather than having the cashier go through and unplug the device and reboot everything and plug it back in. All right. So Suspend Cell and Resume Cell are tied together. So if you're going to suspend a sale, that would mean that maybe the customer came in and they needed um, to run back out to their car to grab some cash, but you have more people behind them. You can suspend the sale, and then when they come back in, you can then resume the sale. When you do the suspend sale, you can put in the name of the person, or you can just put in a note like a date or whatever would identify it as, and then that way when they come back, you know which sale you can resume. Um, Return item is again another one that I would probably recommend having a manager deal with. So you're just dealing with returns. So this would be needed to be set up if you're going to allow them to be able to do returns or exchanges in your store. A safe drop, typically maybe you would only want to keep, let's say, a max of $500 in the drawer, and you want to keep a minimum of $200 in the drawer. So when you set up the safe drop, it will allow you to remove cash from the drawer and put it into a safe. So all of these sale ones are just for different types of sales. So sale formula would be, I don't really know if that's used as much anymore. It used to be used a lot when you were allowed to mix vape together yourself, but basically it just makes it so that you can sell that and it deducts from the inventory correctly. And then sell item would be so that you can sell a particular item. So this would be something that uh, the example I gave a couple of days ago was there's several vape manufacturers that tend to have UPC codes that are very difficult for the barcode scanners to read because of the way that they print them. So if you know that you have a group of items that are going to consistently have issues scanning, you could do a sell item button and it will allow you to pick the items and put them in a on one button. So whenever the cashier needs to ring up these vape items, they could just come and click on this button and choose which one they're doing rather than trying to get the barcode scanner to scan those really small barcodes. So a starting till is going to be what you start your day with. I've seen anywhere from like $50 to $300 for the starting till, and it's just whatever you want it to be. The reason why you would want to put in a starting till at the beginning of your shift is so that whenever you do your reconciliations at the end of the night, you know that you're counting your drawer back down to that starting amount, and then anything that's over would be your deposit. Again, you don't have to do it, it's not a requirement, but if you would like to, we have a way you can either manually do it through the button here, or you can have the POS automatically ask you as soon as you open for the first time for the day what your starting till is going to be. Tax exempt just makes the sale tax exempt. It will ask you for their tax identification number and the name that's associated with it so that you can have that for your record keeping. Again, if you're going to be doing sales like this, though, I would actually recommend that you do the house account version just because you can collect more information and you can see the history of that customer that's consistently coming in within those tax forms. Temporary price change, that's a big one that we, again, manager, we would probably want to do the override on that. And it just allows the cashier to override what the sales price is. Tender is going to be like cash, check, credit card, etc. This is just how are you paying for the transaction and how do you want those to report? Cash next will take the next whole dollar amount and then and accept that as what your cash was given. So, for example, your total was $9.86. If you clicked the cash next button, then it would know that the customer gave you $10. All right. Oh, and the quick cache is that's a button that's stagnant. So you'll see that in a second when we look at the subtotal screen. But that's going to be the buttons that are like the $5 bill, the $10 bill. It's just so you can quickly click on those, and rather than having to type in the cash amount, you can just click that button and it automatically knows what amount was given. Time clock utility. This is just a way that you can have a button inside the POS for your employees to clock in using the Fast Track software. All right, and then void and void last item are again up to you on if you would like to have manager override done. But voids typically I would allow cashiers to do it because they could accidentally scan an item multiple times, and you don't necessarily want a manager to have to go up every time and void out those items they accidentally scanned. But again, that's up to you. So void will let you void multiple items on a receipt. Void last item just automatically voids the last item that you rang up. And then the last one is waste and spoilage. This is so that you can damage out things that are like food items. So if you have a hot bar and you have pizza that sits out and then your timer hits on the pizza and it needs to be discarded, then you can come over here and put that into the system saying, I did not sell these 4 slices of pizza, damage them out. Okay, so that was how I added a button. Now, as you can see, you can customize the size and shape of the buttons. So I can go out and then I can go down. I can also change the colors down here. And I can even change the border radius to make it look a little bit more round if I want to. So all of this is customizable. And then if you want to change what the item is, you could do choose action and just change it. So that one I had set up as a sell item. So let me go ahead and set this one up actually as a sell item button. So I would, hang on a second. So I did sell item, and then I came over here and I'm going to choose what I'm wanting to sell. And let's say I'm going to sell this American Spirit pack with this button. So I would check the box and then I would send it to this side of the panel and hit apply. Okay, so after I've done that, I'm going to save those changes. And then now when I go to use that button in the POS, if I click on it, it's immediately going to add that American Spirit item to my sale. Now, on the other hand, if I'd added more items to it, if I click the sell item button, it would then bring up a menu and ask which of the items that I added do I want to sell. So some other things that you can do for customization is we can come over here to the cogwheel and we can change the width. So if you have a widescreen monitor like the HP RP9s that we sell, I would recommend either using the 15. I would recommend using the 15 width columns because this gives you more space to use for POS buttons instead of having it centered on the screen with a lot of black space on the left and the right. By default, though, it's going to be the square look. You can go even wider, and you would just need to look at the screens that you have and determine for yourself what is going to be the best fit for you. But most of the people that I've seen, it's always been the 11 or the 15 width columns. Something else we can do is we can change the theme, and we have many themes. So by default, we've got these colors, but we've also got all of these other ones. So we've got a nice Christmas one. I really like the summer one. It's kind of pastel looking. And of course, within those, you have the whole palette. You can change the colors too. Okay. Now, here are the different panels. Remember I told you earlier about the panel change button. So that's going to be, so the subtotal button here will take us in POS to this subtotal screen. And then the cashier functions button here will take us to this screen. So if, for example, let's say you have a bar in one of your stores and you need to have several sets of panels just for the bar for like mixed drinks, beer, etc. So you could actually make different panels here, and you would do that by adding one right there. And by default, it's going to have this information there, but you can always delete these buttons if you don't want them. And you would just need to add in the items or the sales that you want to have in here. So again, to add the button, you would do this big plus sign, and then we would do mixers and choose a color and save. So I'm going to do a open department sale for this one because this time I'm just going to say I'm going to do like $10 for the drink. And again, it's going to be up to you how you want to do this, but I'm going to make this a big button. And I'm going to change the radius on it. And I'll save it. Now you can change, so this one, I'm going to call this one mixers. And now that I've added that one in, I would need to add a button so that I can get to that screen. So I would do add mixers. Panel navigation. So now if I click on this button, it would take me to that panel that I just made. All right. You can also copy panels And that's just as easy as clicking the copy panel, and it will make an exact copy of the one that you're looking at. So if you had a lot of items that you were going to be doing for like the beer and liquor that I had given an example for before, you could just keep copying the panel and changing the items that you have inside the buttons. Okay, so now that I've explained all of that, let me show you how you can change what a store or specific register is using for their POS panels. So as I mentioned before, you can have several different sets of panels, and one of the things that you may want to do is, like in my example with the store that has the bar, maybe your bar register needs to have all of the liquor items and the information for the mixers and stuff, but your registers at the front that are mostly for the cigar shop don't need to have all of that. You can set the liquor panels just for the bar location, for that bar register. So we're going to go to locations, and we're going to click on our store. And by default, we're going to pick the default panels. So for all the registers at this store, I want them to have this panel set. So I'm going to save that. But let's say that this POS over here, the register one, is actually the bar computer. So I'm going to click on that one. And rather than allowing my POS panel to inherit from the location, which was the default panels I just picked, I want it to have mixers. And I'm going to save that. So now whenever this machine gets up, what you would do is every time that machine loads up, it's going to load up the panels for the mixers rather than the panels for the default panels like the other registers will. And you can always come back in and change it later if you want. Okay. So just remember that whenever you make your POS panels, you also have to go into your locations and assign them, and also you can go into specific registers and override the location settings. That's all I have for the video today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter so that you can be notified of any upcoming webinar events. And I hope you have a great day. Thank you.